Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
They're talking
Like
over each other.
You're talking a little too
to each other.
fancy.
Yeah.
There's a little too Gilmore Girls.
Exactly. It wasn't super.
Nerd On.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but you deserve, and where all levels of nerd are welcome. And we are super excited about today's episode. We have a guest, but not just a guest.
Not just any guest.
Not just any guest. Special guest. Voiceover artist Rino Romano, known for many a thing.
Rino Romano.
Woo!
That's me cheering for myself. Woo!
Yeah. He's known for such things as the Batman.
The Batman. The
Not to be
I'm known for
confused.
such things as talking.
Making money with
Talking
his voice.
some more.
The narrator of Curious George, which I kind of would like my life to be narrated.
Yeah.
Could you do that? Could I hire you for that?
I will follow you everywhere you go and narrate your life.
Also, the Spider-Man.
And then Josh did his podcast.
It was not a good idea.
Josh loved doing his podcast. It was a lot of fun.
Josh is giddy right now.
I am so giddy. I'm
To say
turning
the
red.
least.
But another one I know that Corey got all giddy in his pants for.
Oh, there's some Star Wars credits on there.
Star
Yeah.
Wars,
There's
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And he also
the
played
old
Kyle
Star
Katarn,
Wars.
which is
Darth
one of my
Revan.
favorite characters as
Yeah.
well.
Darth Revan.
So I freaked out a little bit
Darth
before we started.
Revan.
He peed his pants. It was awkward. So
Fun times.
we thought we'd ask you a few questions about you, Reno. Do a little.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is fun. You guys make me feel like a celebrity, even though, we hide behind microphones and no one knows who we are, but we have a lot of fun. So thank you for having me.
You guys are
man.
the
Oh.
true heroes.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But your voice means a lot to some people's
A lot of
childhoods,
people.
like mine.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
very
guys
kind
want
of
to? You guys want to start it off? You have some questions?
Well, I'd just like to get started. What we had talked a little bit before, wanting to know what kind of inspired you to get into acting and therefore your crossover into voiceover work.
You know, I started acting when I was a little kid. My parents got me into it. They were Italian immigrants, which I say that just because it was kind of weird. Like, well, what would make them think that? They saw an ad in the newspaper when I was a kid and put me into like one of those courses, and I started doing TV commercials and things like that. And
That's
wow.
fun.
yeah, it was really fun. And when you're a little kid, it's even more so because you kind of just playing house. You're doing these fun
Yeah,
things.
playtime.
Yay!
It was super fun, man. And then I don't know, when I got older, I was like, everyone was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to do? I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm not going to do. I don't want to do X, Y, Z, B, T, or D. I'm serious. I was like, well, I really like that acting stuff. That was fun when I was a kid. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And then my father said to me, okay, but you do for hobby. I said, no, not a hobby. I want to do this for real. He goes, okay, but first you go to school and then you do for a hobby. I go, nope. So God bless him, man. He got behind me, funny enough, and he let me. And thank God, because,
Seriously.
Yeah.
here
That's
I am,
great.
still getting to play around.
Yeah.
Because what I noticed looking through your credits, you see a lot of on camera, and then you see this like voiceover. Was it like a conscious decision, or did it just kind of happen? Like, okay, I'm going to do voiceover.
It's kind of a long-winded story, but I always, I loved acting, but I always I just loved cartoons. I mean, I really, really loved cartoons. I love watching them. I love consuming them. I especially love the old Warner Brothers stuff. And back in right out of theater school, I was like, well, shit, I really want to do cartoons. And to make a really long story short, they were like, you can't do cartoons. You're not a voice guy. I'm like, what the hell's a voice guy? Like, get out of here. Like,
What do voice guys look like?
Get out of
No,
here,
I'm serious. I
pretty
didn't even
boy.
know what they were talking about. It was at a time before, like everybody used to say voiceover now, and I was like, oh, yeah, voiceovers. Back then, it was like, what the hell's a voiceover? And even when I would tell people when I was doing it, what do you do? I'm a voiceover guy. What do you mean? Well, I'm an announcer. You're on the radio? Well, sort of. No, I do cartoons. You draw cartoons? Like, no, like nobody knew what the hell
Oh,
it was.
wow.
I didn't know
That's
what it was.
strange.
No, I'm serious. And then it kind of almost became like,
It's
I don't
uncharted
know.
territory for a little bit.
Yeah.
to me it was. But anyway, I'm just so happy because I wanted to do cartoons. And then when I finally started to try to do the voiceovers so I could do cartoons, I was like, wait, they pay for this shit? No, for real. Because
I was just going to do it.
No, my buddies would go to audition. Like, what are you guys doing? We're going to a voice audition. I said, what the hell is that? And they said, well, it's just like a commercial audition, only they don't see your face. And I was like,
Well, nowadays you can just like do it in your PJs.
Yeah.
Or naked if you want to.
well, I'm not wearing any clothes right now. No, no, it's true that everyone thinks that, and you can work from home, but the myth of voiceover is you get up, you work for 3 minutes, and then you go play golf all day. And that is not.
Oh, I'm sure it's not.
Further from the truth. Actually,
And
there's
I'm not
a lot
trying
of
to make it sound like rocket science, but it's not quite that simple.
Well, no, a lot of people do forget that voiceover is acting, and it's all it's almost a different side of acting because you don't get to use facial expressions or your body at all. You have to express everything you're doing through your voice.
Well, especially sometimes when you guys, and maybe we can test this more, Reno, if you're kind of isolated from the people you're playing against, you're kind of just reading lines. You have to kind of suppose what that interaction might be like, right?
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge. But the truth is, with animation, one of the best things to do as a VO guy is animation as far as I'm concerned. And one of the reasons is, besides it being fun and you get to be part of cool shit, usually with animation, 8 times out of 10, if not, more or less 8 times out of 10, you're with everyone in the cast, or at least other people.
Okay.
So you are interacting and interfacing and seeing people do their thing. And getting back to what you said, yeah, I always thought, and it proved itself to be true, that the best voiceover guys often are actors or come from acting or are good actors.
Yeah.
And some of the really, really great cartoon guys, and they are really great, like fantastic guys like Rob Paulson, Billy West.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, Mola Marsh, just so many guys. They're really, truly incredible. Like, you watch these guys, and it's like, it's humbling. You're like, holy crap, are these guys good? The ideas they come up with out of left field, they're just, and you watch them, and they're like, there's a certain, I don't know, I don't want to go on and on, but it's, humbling is a good word for it, but it's also like a real treat. I can't explain it to you other than the best way I can put it in a nutshell. You've seen like a good stand-up guy do good imitations, or you've seen, an uncle who's pretty funny, like crack up a whole room on a holiday.
Uh-huh.
These guys, man, in a room, when the mic is off or when they're not recording between takes, you literally, it's like lightning in a bottle. You're like, oh my God, I wish to God I could like record this. and it's not just you. We're all looking at each other going, is it just me? Or was that, holy shit, that room was fast. Like, these guys are just coming up with zingers and topping one another.
It's just a
like
spectacle.
doing imitations that are so bang. No, it's truly something that I honestly wish I could kind of bottle it and show people to go like, you should have seen this shit. But you can't, because it happens when you're there and it's gone. It goes off in the ether.
Yeah, it's I always used to like watching videos of like Mel Blanc.
Blanc
like,
or Blanc?
Yeah, what is it? Is it Blanc?
I think it's pronounced blank, even though technically it's blanc because it's French. I don't know. It's made up.
But watching him just talk and like go in and out of voices and just, it's just amazing. Like Looney Tunes was my jam growing up. Like,
Heck
Oh, yeah.
yeah, man.
Well, there's that one interview I was talking about. I think it was Hank Azaria talking about how he was amazed by Mel Blanc because he did a Daffy Duck doing a Bugs Bunny impression and Bugs Bunny doing a Daffy Duck impression.
Wow.
And the little subtleties behind that. I mean, there's great people out there. I mean, I'd like to include you in that as well. I mean, I'm a huge
That's because you're kind
Batman
and charming.
fan. Oh, well, thank you, sir.
we say that about him a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you have like Tom's raising his hand.
I
Yes,
didn't
Tom.
know if I can ask a question unless you want to.
No, I was just gonna make up a question on the spot.
I was gonna oogle out about Batman a little bit.
Go for
Or
it.
ask a question, I guess, just particularly like, what was your favorite part, like portraying this type of Batman with the Rogues Gallery being able to like be a little bit more physical and things like that? It was to me it was a new Batman, and you even said like you look at old Warner Brothers cartoons, and I specifically think about like the Batman animated series with Kevin Conroy, and going into seeing what you were working on, it was such a updated version of it, and it had like new tech and like a darker theme. It was really kind of like a good, cool update for me growing up.
Here's the thing. First of all, I appreciate that and the implicit positivity you speak of. I honestly just had such a good time. If I had to say like what the best part of it, I just had such a good time being able to play Batman, literally play Batman. And I didn't think too much about what other people had done before or after. And it was a hard audition process in the sense that I had like, I don't know how many callbacks, meaning you're always about to lose it, meaning, oh, I got another callback. That's a good sign. But I really wanted the job, but I didn't make myself too nuts over it. I just did what I thought he wanted to sound like, And thankfully they chose me, and I just was thrilled to play it. And I just did what I did. And that was the best part, just being able to play it and call my brother, go, dude, I'm fucking Batman.
I was gonna say that's the coolest part. So cool.
Dude, that was the best part. Calling my brother, and my only brother, and going, I get to play Batman. Because we grew up on comic books and we were DC guys, and it was just great.
That's awesome.
And then the hardest part was that I love the character. He's an interesting character, obviously. He's a loved character. But they really kind of pigeonhole him to be like, he's very serious, very dark, even though he's young and he's cool and it's different. And I remember, and the reason I say that is I remember one episode, there was a Catwoman episode, and it was Gina Gershon, and we were, I wouldn't say flirting, but like there was a scene, and it was a little bit of like, layered with a little bit of something. And Ginny explained that the director, I remember her going like, wait, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? So are you like flirting with her? I was like, yeah, sort of, I guess, yeah. She goes, don't. I go, what do you mean don't? She goes, he's serious. Like, sorry, I can't even have a sense of humor. So that was the difficulty. Like, there's no sort of, as Batman, it was one thing, Bruce had whatever. So that was a little challenging because in my mind, I get it, but I was like, well, that's not entirely true. You can have a little, I mean, look at Adam West. That was totally the other end of the spectrum. So.
He does like a lot of the no-sell and, later seasons when like Robin and Batgirl come involved. It's like, that's where you kind of get that like levity that you're talking about. And then when Superman comes in too, so.
I'll tell you straight. Well, first of all, thank you for knowing the series that well.
Oh, I've watched it multiple times.
Oh, you do not know.
I got to tell you, man, that it was so much fun and such an honor. Truly, I forget lip service. It was really an honor to play that role, and it was fun. It was fun as hell, and all the guest stars that would come on it was incredible. We had Robert Englund. We had all kinds of people. Brooke Shields. We had all kinds of people come on. So it was really interesting. But I feel like the series got better as it went along. Really, truly did get better and better and better. And when Batgirl and Robin showed up, it became kind of like the Bat family, and then it was more about people.
Yeah.
And in all the things I've ever been involved with, animated or otherwise, but particularly animation, when it's about the people, even though the character is an iconic character, when it's about people and people interacting, it's so much more interesting. Like the first season was like villain, fight, fight. New villain, fight. Backstory, fight. That's fine. It is what it is. It's a superhero cartoon. But then it was much more interesting as we got, in my mind, to just, I don't know, more intricate little things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about that connection. I mean, that's what everyone can relate to. Not everyone can relate to fighting a villain on a rooftop. It's cool to watch.
I mean, I can, but I
know
don't
Josh
know about
can,
you,
but those little connections or little idiosyncrasies between people is really what pulls a large part of the audience in.
Yeah, and like one thing I really loved about it was that it retconned a lot of characters and it gave new designs to them and added new attributes. Like one specifically that I felt was like super crazy, and if I wasn't an open-minded person, I would have hated it, was how they did Clayface, and they made him way more tragic because they had almost like a Harvey Dent like progression where he was like a ally, then he became Clayface later on. And then kind of like you said, like it became more of like the Bat family thing, and then later on the Justice League got involved, and it didn't feel like here's a new thing left and right, and then we were supposed to know the rules. It allowed us to kind of, in a way, hold our hand and like show us that Batman was going to go through this journey. So I thought that was super dope.
I thought they did a good job. And here's the thing, too. With every iteration of a thing like this, you're going to get people who absolutely hate it. And it's funny. I thankfully don't really go into like whatever you want to call it, chat rooms or like IMDb. But once in a while, like afterwards in the series, they're like, wow, people really hate me. But the thing of it is, I was like, well, you can think whatever you want. You don't like it, you don't like it. But it's a funny thing that I don't blame them in the sense that if you got Kevin Conroy in your head, then, hey, man, Kevin Conroy's the Batman, and that's the end of it. And I respect that, but I wasn't trying to be him or anybody else. So I'm glad to hear you.
I mean, that honestly, I mean, I'm with Tom on this. Trying to be someone else, I think, being yourself really worked in your favor in this. Like, I really, really enjoyed it.
I mean, we hear it in your voice now. I just imagine you with a cowl for no reason, and that's the only thing you're wearing. You're not wearing any other clothes, but just a cowl.
We said that already. It's just the cowl over there.
To hear, but by the way, to hear you call it the cowl, when Adam West guest starred on the show as the mayor a number of times, but when he first came on, I was so thrilled. And he was really nice. And he was nice to me. He said hello, but he didn't know I was playing Batman. And then someone said, this is Reno. He's playing Batman. And he stopped and he looked and goes, oh, congratulations, kid. You get to wear the cape and cowl. I literally like, wow, you get to wear the cape and cowl.
That might be almost cooler than being able to say you play Batman. Is that Adam West said that to you?
Are you kidding, dude? It was the best. It was the absolute best.
Oh, man. Well, I think did you guys have any more questions? Ollie kind of looks like no. I'm excited.
My nerd on's at half mast right now. I like
half mast.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're gonna get a full one with what we're going to talk about next.
So we're doing something a little different. We've got a guest that is a voiceover artist, and we thought, let's just not do what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Let's not just interview him about what he does. Let's have him talk about what we talk about. And
Something that gives him a nerd on.
Yeah. So
I think what better than getting to know someone that we love and adore, but also to share the moment with something that we all genuinely love together.
Yeah.
yes. So
Well put, Tom.
Well put. We
What's
are
it gonna be? Drum roll, please.
Mindhunter.
Bum, bum, bum,
Oh yeah,
bum.
baby.
Netflix original.
Yes.
Netflix original. Man, I pretty much it hit, and Bonnie and I went, I wonder what this is. Watch the trailer. That looks interesting. Let's watch that. I think it was after a kick that we, not to freak you guys out, but we went on this kick for like a month where we were just watching movies about serial killers, true crime drama things.
That's fair.
And we were just, and we
Is the
started,
door outside locked? Can we make sure we have an escape route?
Taking notes, Josh.
So yeah, we're gonna watch.
We watched.
Oh, let's-
we
we're gonna-
watched it.
Oh,
We
I
watched
wish we
it.
could.
We're gonna sit here for 10 hours. Who wants to take it away?
Mr. Corpal, because you know
I
what?
do.
I'm the one that got Corey to watch it because
He knows me well.
He's
I
a
know.
David Fincher fan.
I am a fanatic, I would almost call it. I'm a
Yes.
David Fincher fanatic. So for those of you who don't know, David Fincher directed the first 2 and last 2 episodes of the series.
executively produced.
Executive produced, right. And I'll tell you what, from start to finish, this show is gripping, like phenomenal.
Yeah.
The camera work, obviously very Fincher-esque. Love it. I'm in love with that stuff. Very poignant movements. Every movement of the camera is on purpose. Everything you're seeing, you are meant to see for a reason.
To paraphrase a video essay that you might be familiar with, David Fincher hijacks your senses.
Yeah.
The reason being is that he follows all movement that happens on the camera. When we're moving through a space, it's only because a character is moving through that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that character is always in 1/3 of the frame or not. But no matter what, we're always following them in that exact same tempo. We're not moving faster. We're not revolving around them. We're moving with them.
Yeah.
So we're feeling the same things as the character. When something feels uneasy and a character makes a slight movement to their head, we move with them. So
We're focusing what they're focusing on.
Yeah.
So it really gets you into the mind of whatever character it is. And I'll just go with my initial reaction real quick and we'll dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
But I started like thinking I was a detective like 3 days after I started watching this show. Like I'm analyzing every little thing anyone says to me, how they move. I found the whole thing.
He wanted to be on the Murder Orient Express.
I did.
Yes.
I found the whole thing fascinating. So
Yeah.
I'll get into more of the details in a little bit.
Yeah.
I love the sort of the like word soup.
Mm.
that it
Word
was.
soup.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mm.
Just everything was so well
I get a lot
said.
of O's in mine, but I
Very
realize her
useful.
period.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
Uh,
SpaghettiOs.
Like
Jeez.
every word that was spoken like had a purpose. And that's kind of like it leans into kind of what really the show was trying to tap into, which is like, trying to label things, trying to find better understandings of these things that are completely foreign to
In 1977.
in that time. So it was really fun to watch them try to like dance around terms and try to label things and try to fit it into the sort of, I guess, social constructs
Yeah.
that had been developed up until that point, to the point where it was like a foreign notion to like anyone that they were.
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
it was.
trying to
They
talk to you
were-
about it.
Yeah, they were revolutionizing what this is based on. They were revolutionizing the
Criminology.
the criminology
Criminal
world.
psychology.
Like,
Right.
what is this? Like, they coined the term of serial killer.
Yeah.
Sequence.
They're like,
killer.
what is this that you're talking about? What did you think, Reno?
I love that. I mean, everything you guys are saying, the fact that it was sort of an exploration of how these guys came up with this, what are you going to call it, a science before there was
Yeah.
one. I was fascinated by the whole thing. I thought the acting was incredible. The storytelling was impeccable. The first episode I thought was a little, not slow. It was just, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be good. And full disclosure, I want to just share that one of the leads is a buddy of mine named Holt McCallany, and he happens to be a voiceover guy. And I knew he was doing the show. He's a buddy. I've been a big fan for a long time of both
Yeah.
his voiceover
I'm a big
work and his
fan of
acting.
him
He's
as
been
well.
yeah, he's been in a lot of movies. He's a great actor and a great guy, by the way. He's a really nice guy. So I've always been a fan, right? And so he told me he'd gotten this thing and it was going to be big for him. And I was excited for him. And we had dinner with a bunch of other buddies. And then I knew about it. I knew everything about the thing, but I was like, okay, Fincher, that's cool. And then all of a sudden, I'm talking to another buddy of mine. He's like, yeah, I've been watching this show. It's really amazing. I just binge watched it. It's called Mindhunter. I was like, shit, it's out? No, it had been out for like a week maybe or 2 weeks. And
Okay.
so I sat there and I did the same thing and I watched and I was like, holy crap, is this good? And I got truly sucked in, man. So besides the fact that Holt is a buddy, I was like, this show's freaking amazing. And I'm
yeah.
a true crime fan. So I in any, Forensic Files, I've seen every single one of those 17,000 episodes.
His character was a joy.
Oh yeah.
Corey's got a full nerd on going on. He's
I fangirl
oozing.
a little bit. I'm a huge fan of Holtz. So the fact that you just said
Yeah,
who
he's
everybody is, it's like,
We'll have that part yet.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna just
I
tell
had,
you,
I had my moment.
spoilers.
I'm good.
He was Corey's favorite part of the show. Just gonna say that.
Yeah, he was.
By the way, Holt was in Fight Club.
Oh,
Yes.
I know.
No,
I'm very aware.
Corey loves that gentleman.
So
all,
his
dude, I
name
gotta
was
tell you that-
Robert Paulson.
Oh, nice, dude. No, listen, on a sidebar, Holt is just like the greatest guy. And he's, by the way, he's an old school, he's a man's man. He's old McCallany.
Oh, yeah, for
Holt
sure.
McCallany.
I mean, I don't think
he's
you could
just
say
a-
it without that voice.
No, it's a hell of a name.
That's my Holt imitation. Holt McCallany. No, he's a great guy, man. And he's really a great actor. And this is such
It was
an
such a good
opportunity
role for him.
And I'll wrap it up my end of it by saying this. I was really wrapped up in the show. And by the way, the guest stars, the serial killers, were so freaking good. I was like, ooh,
oh,
the Star is
God,
born with, what's his name? The first guy.
Kemper.
Edmund.
Oh, my God.
Ed
What's
Kemper.
that actor's name?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but he's actually one of my good friends' ex-boyfriends from high school.
Oh, nice.
And if they're still buddy and stuff like that. But
Cameron Britton.
Yeah, Cameron Britton.
He was so effortlessly
Ed
creepy
Yeah.
and did so much with so little and was just so the writing helps, but he was really effective. But I'll just shut up after this. When it was over, and I was truly like going home, going, I gotta get home and watch another episode. When it ended, I was like I was depressed,
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call Holt. I was going to call him. I go, wait, you get picked up? And then I talked to another buddy because he was in New York. Yeah, they got picked up. They're shooting soon. I was like,
Oh,
perfect.
good.
Thank God.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That,
in November.
That Edmund guy, that actually, when I watched the first episode with him in it, my wife and she went to bed after that. So, of course, I can't watch anymore without her. So
Yeah.
It's the rules.
You don't want
Them's
to
the
cheat.
rules.
Netflix cheat.
But I went down this rabbit hole of
That's
looking
your
up
fault.
the comparison side by side.
Yeah.
And they use a lot of direct quotes, and it is spot on.
Well, the interviews that we saw on screen, they're basically taking transcriptions of
Yeah.
the actual interviews.
They
and
warp it a
so-
little bit, but
Yeah,
there
of
are
course,
some of the
but-
parts that are word
Yeah,
for
because
word.
they're the parts where they press pause.
There's a
Yeah.
there's a fantastic video where they blend in and out of the real Edmund Kemper with
Oh, wow.
with his, and it's like chilling. It's
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. The guy who played Richard Speck, also the guy who threw the
Yeah.
bird into the fan.
Yeah.
I could not take my eyes off him during that scene. He was fascinating.
portrayed by Jack Erdy.
Yeah, he that one might have been the one that Ed Kemper was phenomenal and sucked me into the show, but that one stood out to me for a week
Yeah,
later.
Ed's
And by the way,
character is where-
when they suck him in, when he says whatever he says, and then the blue stuff, and then it kind of gets him intrigued, and he both kind of is almost appalled by him, but then drawn in.
Yeah.
It's just so well done.
that was
my God.
that's where I knew I was hooked on the show.
Mhm.
For me, I had a very similar experience with episode 1. First sequence, with the hostage situation and the shotgun blowing up his head and all that stuff.
Right.
Like, I was
Fascinating.
I was in. I was like, okay, let's see it. And then the fixation on Holden's cuff link where it's got blood on it, and then he meets this girl. I was like, okay, this feels very social networky. Then all of a sudden, slowly started becoming more Zodiac. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I see where this is going. This is gonna be a very slow burn. And then later on, it kind of starts the inciting action of him.
And then it just goes up in flames.
Yes, exactly. All
By
in
the
flames.
way, that was the most violent thing, technically speaking, in the whole series. In the whole,
Yeah.
what is it, 10 episodes or 9?
Mhm.
Yeah.
If-
Oh,
Because
the
you're
beginning,
watching
yeah.
with girls, and sometimes I don't know if I can watch this. Well, that's minute 3 of the show.
But you know what the funny thing is? On that topic, just analyzing it, that is the physically most disturbing and violent part.
Yeah.
Next to the bird being thrown into the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything else is just more of a mental
Mhm.
torture of a strain.
I didn't even think about that.
And
That
it's
is,
more of
those
a
are the only
nightmare.
two real violent things in the show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sense that every time they're interviewing a new murderer, sequence killer, you get this
Something might
claustrophobic
happen, yeah.
feeling, and it's
Mhm.
kind of like you're almost trapped in that cage with them. But yeah, I first was I don't know if this is gonna be good, and it actually didn't take me till maybe episode 3 to I was like, all right, now they're gonna use what they're learning and apply it to a real life situation. I was like, all right, I want to see
Yeah.
this. This is gonna be super cool.
Yeah.
I think they skirted the line nicely too of doing the whole it's the 70s and it's almost too much. But by that I mean that sepia green tone and
Yeah.
the cars
Right.
are awesome and the big writing, But they used it
that's
like
the
a
Fincher.
spice. I thought it was done really well. And then they keep doing the cop teaching, which I love that they just keep doing that.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I wanted to go over just a brief synopsis of the whole thing real quick
Yeah.
for anyone who hasn't seen this show yet. I mean, obviously spoilers. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen it,
Pause the episode. Go watch on Netflix.
Yeah,
if you don't have
can find
Netflix,
it.
go borrow your friend's Netflix. Trade your Hulu, and then you do the thing.
Yeah.
But essentially, I mean, the story is about these two FBI agents who in real life basically discovered, like we said, serial killers and started learning criminal psychology and how to almost almost try to prevent,
Try to understand it, so to speak. And
because the crimes were happening that weren't just either calculated or
They
through
weren't black and
passion.
white.
There was no explanation behind them. So Ford, who was a hostage negotiator, is feeling that the FBI is falling behind on the changing of the times and starts this group. And eventually they get funding, and it just kind of snowballs from there.
They end up getting a small little office space, and the group and the entire team starts expanding to get more people coming from different universities who are adding to the
an
team.
office in the basement,
Yeah.
and starts moving up.
Yeah.
And then
They have like this little wish list of which serial murderers they want to interview and stuff like that, and they mention Manson.
And you have a great dynamic between Ford and Tench throughout the whole thing.
that is, we're gonna have to talk
We'll
about
talk
like
about
that.
it.
Yeah.
But their dynamic between the two is just like, it's amazing.
I mean,
to
we
me
can
to
talk about
watch.
that right now.
Well,
Really.
okay.
Let's finish the synopsis
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
So I mean, like they go through interviewing different people from all around California, and they also start from what they're learning of habits and profiling. They start kind of being able to predict criminal behavior.
Yeah.
And they start teaching, nearby places such as other police departments, and then going to schools, and it gets them in a little bit of trouble. Holden starts discovering a new relationship. Tench, you end up learning more about his character and his family, and things like that. And everything that they bring from work starts getting too close to home, and there's this rising tension between the group. There's no like major antagonist of the show. It's mainly a good
It's kind of themselves.
Yeah, it's a good character-driven piece. It's slow.
It's a character
slow burn.
study.
Yeah.
To me, what's most interesting is exactly that they're basically interviewing people that society thought had no value because they're shitty people, but studying them and interviewing them. And that's the whole crux of the show is like, how can you be doing that? This is crazy. Why would you talk to this guy, let alone, sit there for hours talk? Like, this is exactly why we want to talk to them, to learn from them. And then come out. The whole show is basically that is, them fighting that swimming against the tide to be able to do that and then take, things they're learning and apply them.
Yeah.
Future killers.
Right, because it was outside the social norm to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
They were
like,
just
there's many scenes where there's other like police facilities that are, or police stations that they're going around teaching, and they're treating them like they're kind of idiots, where they're like, what do you mean to understand? Because they're evil.
Yeah.
You just
or like that
are,
scene
you
with
aren't.
Charles Manson where he's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
well, we could learn a lot from him. And they're like, no, you can't learn nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really loved, you get Ford's descent too, right? He starts becoming obsessed and almost goes from this like really clean cut, kind of right out of school kind of
With
kid.
that spoiling too much.
I know, yeah. And then, it's fantastic. But I do want to talk about the tension, Ford.
Well, throughout the film, you kind of see the makings of somebody becoming a murderer, and it kind of leads off with that, and it really opens a door for a lot of good stuff to happen in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll end the synopsis
there.
And now we'll go.
Yeah. So what did you go ahead and start with tension, Ford?
What I was gonna say is like,
Because
we'll
the
move
two
the
actors,
favorite parts up a few things.
Yeah.
The
The two actors, Holt and Jonathan Groff is the guy who plays Holden Ford, have a great chemistry on screen together.
That's what I was gonna bring up, is that I think really all of the acting, when you watch it, it's flawless. And just watching everybody interact, watching Ed Kemper with Holden and all of the stuff that's going on is just incredible to watch, and especially what I was trying to say is especially Holden and Bill. The humor that is between the two, like Bill just cracks me up the way that he reacts to Holden and some of the things that he does, and like it just cracks me. Like it was actually very darkly humorous.
Oh, there's a lot of dark comedy within this. I mean, that's a Fincher thing as well. Fight Club is a dark comedy to me. Like it's got these beautiful moments. But what stood out to me there's this one moment I kind of referenced to my wife that I thought was a
Shout out to your wife.
perfect painting of how these characters complement each other so well. So you have this scene with what's the big guy who likes the shoes? The serial killer.
What's his name? He's great too.
He was. All the killers were really great acting casting. But he's they're in there interviewing him, and him and Tench kind of get at it. And Holden says the phrase, "I think what my partner's trying to say," and he's able to communicate with him.
Mhm.
And then 2 scenes later, it's Holden and Tench talking to a cop, and Holden insults the cops by mistake by calling them stupid, essentially. And Bill goes, "What my partner's trying to say." So you have these 2 guys who one knows how to interact with the law, one knows how to interact with these serial killers, and they kind of have each other's backs throughout
Yeah.
anything. And I thought that was a really beautiful comparison that they wrote into the show.
Monty Rissel.
Thank you.
Wait, aren't you thinking Happy Anderson?
Happy Anderson.
Yeah.
Brudos, right?
Brudos, thank you.
Brudos,
That's what
right.
I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that little back and forth where you can see Tench being able to speak to police officers and Holden being able to speak to serial killers is just like exactly why they were meant to do that together.
By the way, even the show itself is strange if you think about it. The whole, what again, is it 10 episodes or 9? They-
10.
Basically, your guest stars, your stars are serial killers, guys portraying famous serial killers.
Oh, yeah.
And acting out the whole thing.
Unspeakable things. And you can't take your eyes off them. It's this weird part of the human psyche that you're just like, you want to know what you can't understand.
It's kind of like watching, did you guys ever watch Dexter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Dexter, and you get
Probably
like,
one of the best openings to a show.
oh
by the
yeah,
way.
but you watch it and you go, wait a minute, am I fucking rooting for the serial killer?
I mean, you kind of are. I mean, there's that part of you, and of course, we're going to put the spoiler at the beginning of this show. So sorry, guys. There's that part where you're kind of rooting for Ed Kemper and Holden's relationship until that very last scene there, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that's right. He's a fucking serial killer.
Yeah.
Like, that's terrifying.
He
and they walk
took
that
his
line.
mother's head against his
Right.
his
But there's a
junk.
part of you that, as a viewer of this TV show, forgets that. And
Yeah.
so, and when that last scene happens, I think it's ultimately more of a thriller because you're like, oh, that's right. I totally forgot. I totally forgot that he
That
could.
danger's at any moment.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, I just want to jump in and say, full disclosure, it's funny when anybody ever says that anything, a TV series, a movie is fantastic, people will come to it with the expectation that it's good. They don't know why it's good. And then they come and they watch it like, oh, this is boring or it's no good. So I say this just as a disclaimer to anyone who hasn't seen it yet to say, it's just really well done. It's
Yeah.
well put together. But you got like any show, you have to get invested. You have to put in the time.
Engage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Pay attention.
I just think it was so well done.
A lot of
on
people
every
I see
level.
watch TV shows while they're texting. I go, you're not watching.
Well, I mean, I was
It's-
going to say that point. Like Ollie and I probably
Yeah.
share the sentiment. We could play some video games and then like all of a sudden watch something on the side. But a show like this for me is something that's like, oh, I give up. I can't. I have to pay attention.
Every little
I
game-
tried doing
I cannot
that.
turn.
I tried getting work done
Yeah.
at the same time. I just couldn't do it.
It's something you
I was
actually
like,
have. And
this
I
is
think
too interesting.
I think that's a great thing about. I'll go into a little bit about Fincher. Like that's a great thing about his work. It's something it's not something you could really look away because there are certain inserts that he'll put in there that you have to really pay attention to get a little bit more. So I mean, specifically like
Show, don't tell.
The Rock and the cheerleading outfit, like during that one interrogation sequence, it's like you have to see, the Kuleshov effect, the cut versus reverse cut to back to like
Mhm.
the killer and see how they respond once it's revealed. Seeing that it's again, it's a show that just really just hijacks
Yeah.
everything that you're doing and paying attention to.
And which
Yeah,
one
go
of you
ahead.
guys said it that nothing in the show is extraneous. Everything is there for a reason, and it's just really well done. It's quality.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
filmmaking.
And that's something that Fincher's really known for. Is there's no shot that's on accident.
Wasted, yeah.
I do want to talk about that interrogation scene real quick, if you don't mind, because
I do mind.
that was something. All right, we'll move on then. That was something that I had one of those moments where I paused it because I am someone I watched a lot of SVU. Like Law and Order SVU was my jam for a while, and the tactics
Christopher
that
Maloney,
they're
baby.
using, the tactics that they're using in that interrogation scene are things I've seen all the time on SVU.
because they made them.
Well, there was that moment where I was like, why are they making such a big deal about it? Oh, that's right. No one's done
No
this
one's done
yet.
this before.
Yeah.
And it worked, and it was fantastic. And I had
That
to
scene was just so well done.
Oh, yeah.
And just the sort of events of that scene leading to its conclusion, like it was just like it there was you didn't have a break from it. It
Yeah.
just went on until the rest of
Which
the
one are
show.
we talking about? Which interrogation scene are we talking about?
So it's the one with the
The guy from the power lines.
the power line,
The
who killed
electrician, yeah, that guy.
with the rock and everything. And
unrelenting.
I love when they're setting that thing up and he goes, no, fatter. I need the file filter to look fatter.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I don't even care if it has print on it. It could be blank papers. Put it in there. It's brilliant. I mean, that getting to see how that those tactics came to fruition now.
Yeah.
And I mean, just going off of that, like the
Adam
other
Zastro, by the way, is that guy's name.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The other researcher, the first, I guess, female lead they bring in, she questions everything they do. She's
Wendy?
like, these,
Anna Torv.
Torv.
yeah, she's like, all these
She was
questions
great.
have to be like, standard in general, and they have to, they're all black and white questions, and they're really boring. And you see how, like, when they use that, they don't really get anything out of any of the people
killers.
that they're talking to.
Mhm.
But then when they start actually working, like going with the curve, leaning into the person's personality, they start getting better questions or better answers out of these murderers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And it's also interesting to see Holt's character Tench kind of evolve from being really against it, but then seeing the results and being like, oh shit, okay, so I'm gonna let Ford do his thing. I can't say that stuff, but I'll let him say it. So it's gonna be good.
it's cool because it doesn't feel like it's teaching you anything, but then at the same time, you're also learning people, like human psychology at that point.
It's
We're
all
like,
very strange, isn't it? It's like there's that sort of like almost like a paternal thing between the two of them, and then there's like the partners, and they're kind of good cop, bad cop in a weird way, like in a lateral way. And then even at the end, as you say, he warms up to it because he sees the results. But then again, without spoiling too much, at the end, he doesn't so much throw him under the bus, but he also like kind of pulls back as like the "I told you so" stuff. It's all really interesting.
I got a kind of like Seven feel, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman kind of like,
Yeah.
where they were a little bit distant. They had a mutual reason to work with each other. And then it wasn't until like they started coming upon like progress, then they started actually having a relationship.
Yeah.
So I think Bill's character, like, it was really interesting to see his reactions because he's a man of behavior science to begin with. So he's already kind of expecting a certain amount of this to be the case, going with some expectations, but even seeing him have to struggle with like knowing that this is the way that we need to do it, but then also like having that internal conflict of like, why does it have to be this way? Like,
oh yeah.
So
I
that
think
was
there's
really
no
nice.
simple answers. It's not black and white like some, you know, ad network TV shows that are just kind of really cut out, cardboard cut out ABC, and that's the end of the show. Like it's just really interesting. And unlike a lot of shows where like, oh, we got another season, well, let's make up a bunch of junk. Like I feel like this will be a really interesting second season. It won't, I'm sure there's going to be new serial killers, but it'll also be the relationships. You know what I mean? Like I'm just really interested to see what happens.
It's something that you can tell was very well thought out. It's not something that they're just like, oh, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's something that they've definitely planned for success, which is I think what a lot of shows should do. Always plan for success.
Well, I mean, the life of the show is kind of interesting in terms of a production standpoint because I was reading that Fincher and Charlize Theron, they pitched it to like HBO like 10 years ago or something like that, and it wasn't picked up. It wasn't picked up, and like it's kind of almost makes sense that David Fincher directs the first two and the last two because it's like, this is mine.
Yeah.
Mine.
Oh, I mean, and you can tell too. I mean, there's the beautiful thing about his directing is his style is he's very much so handheld, no handheld. Everything's like
Mechanical.
Again, mechanical, where it should be all the time. And this show does it where you're 10 hours basically we call on sticks on tripods, and then at like the 10th hour is the only time there's a handheld shot in the entire show. And I won't spoil what it is or what it does, but it is beautifully done.
Yeah.
And it stuck out to me and affected me so much. I had to rewind it and watch it again. And I was like, holy shit, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about David Fincher specifically.
Please. I can talk about David Fincher all day, Tom.
I mean, kind of like we've been talking a little bit about the points, but it's kind of like how we get really involved into it. And it's like weird that we're like kind of rooting for like serial killers and you're looking at these relationships and you're getting invested and then you have to pull yourself out being like, oh, wait, hold on. Danger's at every corner. And I mean, I think we've talked about it before, but David Fincher is like known to look at humanity in a certain way. And his kind of his viewpoint on people is that people are perverts.
Everyone's a pervert.
Everyone's a pervert. And the sad thing about it is that when he makes, these pieces of art that show how much we can be captivated by what he's doing, like Seven, Fight Club, all these things that show humanity typically at its worst.
Yeah.
But yet we can't keep our eyes off it.
Yeah.
It just kind of proves his point. And it's in a weird sense where it's more of like we have to kind of like Holden, like we kind of have to like wrangle ourselves to not get so like romanticized within it and realize like, as a human, I must kind of like balance, what I'm actually like being involved in, but also like.
Well, he challenges your moral is what it is.
I mean,
especially with this.
Well, I was gonna say because it's that's what I like about shows, and kind of what Holden's point was is that they're still people.
Mhm.
Yeah, our first inclination, like our gut feeling,
They're
like
monsters.
they're monsters. They were born evil. That's just what they are.
Mhm.
But Holden's kind of thing is like, no, that's not what they were. They kind of became that. It just kind of happened. Like people are, I mean, to use a shitty phrase, nurtured or what is it?
Conditioned.
Conditioned.
Nurture or nurture.
Yeah, into being that.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe
There's a
that's the point of the
pattern.
show.
There's a pattern. It, like
Yeah.
at a certain point, you started thinking this way. What happened before it? What made you start thinking this way?
Yeah.
I love the idea that they took those, psychology existed before and psychosis and all that stuff, but they brought those two things together, and that this series explores how it happened, like a perfect storm. Like they needed answers. These guys are the elite police force, federally speaking, and they put that together. Like I wasn't kidding when I said I'm a fan of like, forensic files and all that. I happen to be fascinated by it. And in high school, somebody had this book called Psychopathia Sexualis. It was written, I don't know if it was like 18 something or early 1900s.
Oh.
You want to see some freaky shit. And that, well, I'm saying that was the first documentation, I think the first, of someone putting together in the similar way, putting together like, yeah, this guy's got a fetish with shoes, this guy aprons, and they don't kill people, they just have these sexual proclivities. But put them all together, but these guys like tied it to crime. It's all really highly fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think it's clear that Fincher has this like fascination with like not even just like perverts or whatever, but like perversions, and you see it in a lot of his work, Seven and things like that. But I think this is almost like the ultimate subject matter for that, to kind of really dive in deep. And like I describe very few shows or very few movies as like movies or shows that you want to like snuggle in with and just kind of like sink in and enjoy.
Not how I would describe Fincher.
Yeah. But like this almost felt that way because it was like, just him, Ford, and Kemper just sitting in a room and talking about it and discovering words like him calling it a vocation, things like that. And
Yeah.
like
But
I just
someone said
loved
sequence
listening.
killing.
Yeah.
I was like, I could watch 10 hours of just them talking.
Well, and I'm so happy we're in a time too where, this isn't a movie where they have to condense everything into 2 hours. Where we're in what's the renaissance of TV or television,
Golden
right now.
age.
Yeah, where we can tell these
They can
stories
spread it out.
with people like David
Take their time.
Fincher or like Holt or anything like that who want to be a part of these because they get to explore these characters more and we get to see more of the minutia and little details of things.
Yeah.
Although, let me interject for a second and say it is also overwhelming because there's so much television right now that's interesting or possibly interesting. I get overwhelmed. Jesus, how many episodes?
That's
I know
true,
it's
yeah.
good, but like I want to watch The Wire. My brother thinks it's the best show ever, and I'm sure it is. It's a lot.
It's a lot. I'm with you, man. I want to watch The Wire too, but every time I go and see all the seasons, I go, maybe I'll do that later.
That's me in The Sopranos. I've yet to see it. And I'm like,
Ooh, The Sopranos, my personal favorite series ever.
Well, now you got to.
Four
Right?
times.
Now you have to. I was just thinking about that the other day. It's
Yeah, but I guess
what was I calling it? It's like you have too many options nowadays. It's
it's a double-sided coin, right?
Yeah, it is. It's
By
like,
the way,
oh,
can we digress just for a split second?
Absolutely.
do it.
Do yourself a favor. Make The Sopranos a show you watch from beginning to end if and when you're ready, and literally watch it in order and try to like do a cadence. In other words, like watch it regularly.
Yeah.
That show is about people. It happens to be about mobsters, but it's got nothing to do with mobsters in the sense that that's the backdrop. And the beauty of that show, talking about like flawed characters and people who justify things, but it's just about people and
So
their
good.
day-to-day struggles. It's freaking fascinating. David Chase, incredible.
Oh, man.
Truly, I don't know.
So it sounds like we're going to have you back for a Sopranos episode.
Oh, that was my favorite series, maybe of all time.
That's awesome.
It's
And I came
super
to
good.
it late.
Oh yeah, me too. But I think Bonnie and I watched through the entire series a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good.
All right, Ollie, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll hold each other accountable.
Yeah. I'll start watching it soon.
Did we already do like a favorite part?
I mean,
you
I don't
feel?
think explicitly.
Not
I think we said
explicitly.
favorites-ish, but then like by definition, what made the show, like this is my favorite part of the show.
Okay.
Oh,
Wanna do
okay.
it?
Wow.
Yeah, we can do that. I think
It'll
yeah,
be hard,
do you
I'll
wanna-
be perfectly honest, but
who wants to start it?
I want to say, I mean, it's just the one that I referenced, which is just him and Ed Kemper, like anytime they were together, like chatting, just him
Yeah.
and Ford without
tension.
But
I have my favorite part. Of it.
I think no specific part, but just that whole sequence of them talking. I think it was the second episode or third episode.
Yeah.
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 I just thought of one that I mean, yes, I agree. Like any scene with Ed Kemper, I love it. Like he was just amazing to watch. He was fascinating. But actually, it just came to me when Bill is kind of having his breakdown at home. Cause
with the
That's what I was gonna reference.
You're welcome. And he's like,
Josh does this to me every time.
and he's just like, he's brought it home, and his wife is getting angry with him, and he's got a kid that has seen his work now.
And now the babysitter quit.
Yeah, and it's just like, and he's just kind of losing his shit. His wife, oh man, it was so
the
good.
acting
It was
in that
touching.
scene that affected me for like 3 or 4 days. I talked to my wife about it. She's like, "You want to watch Mindhunter?" And I was like,
No,
I need a day. Hold on, I need a day after that scene.
I think this is a perfect segue for me to jump in and say that
Yeah.
my favorite part, without mincing words, is because he's my buddy, and I've been a big fan for so long, and I know he's amazing, but I was like, dude, I don't know why you're not like a gigantic star. Meaning you are, but
Seriously.
he is in my mind. But
honestly, man, that guy's so strong as a human being. He's a really nice guy, but he's a really, really good actor. And I mean, I've always known that. So I was just so happy to see him get a truly meaty role and to just really do it justice, to kick ass. And then that's just the truth of what my favorite thing is. And the other thing is, I liked watching, I'm drawing a blank, the other guy.
Ford.
Yeah, Ford, go through his change, like sort of like really get into what he's doing. And in that scene where he like pauses, he doesn't pause the recorder, but he just basically says what's on his mind. In other words, he gets the result.
Oh
He
yeah,
decides to just
out of
go
Richard
for it.
Speck.
oh yeah,
Yeah, just watching him do that, and then watching him also almost like go a little too far, but not really. Again, it's that gray thing that Fincher or the whole show kind of goes to, but doesn't go to. I'm really fascinated by that, and I want to see that next season to see where that goes.
Oh yeah, well,
where-
I had talked to Tom about this. There's a scene that perfectly defines kind of like his descent, and it's during that interaction with his girlfriend on the porch where he instead of being emotional, he just dissects the
This is actually my
the
favorite part.
situation. Tom, then go ahead, take it away, Tom.
So I mean, he approaches his girlfriend around the end of the series, where the girlfriend's kind of waiting for him, and then their relationship is becoming bigger, has had a bigger strain since he started this venture with
He's
Tench.
traveling.
And his girlfriend's now kind of like lying to him and doing all these other things, and you could see that they're just kind of bothering each other. But then, she kind of says like, "What do you think I'm doing?" He's like, "You're probably breaking up with me." And he breaks down all the things like why he finds what it is, because he profiles it. He profiles the situation. And I would say right now, my favorite part is kind of just all of Holden's sequences, because I love how kind of cold and isolated he is from everything, but he still tries to hold on to his humanity with a bit of that curiosity.
Mhm.
Yet he's still able to make logical decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love it when I just kind of see human specimens or people like at the best of their ability. It just kind of really inspires me in a weird, grumpy, isolated Tom way. But, yeah, that was my favorite sequence.
Can I just comment on that really
please.
quickly and say, by the way, you guys are going to have to do like a spoiler report.
Oh, we always
we
do.
do.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say like, if you want to watch the show and you haven't seen it yet, maybe you don't want to listen to this.
We put it in right at the beginning.
All the things you were saying though, when that character, first of all, wasn't it a bitch? Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but when he finds out that she is lying to him,
Oh yeah.
isn't that a bitch? When it happens, like, oh shit, it's true. I was so aghast. I was like, son of a bitch.
Well, they wrote it in a way where you're thinking he's kind of just paranoid because of all the things he's been doing.
Right.
But then in that dark room, the light comes on, and you're like, oh shit, he was totally right.
And the reaction he has to that, which is similar to the reaction he has to the Kemper thing at the end, is him again. He's skirting it. He's so logically, so sort of like detached and distanced.
Yeah.
But then when it comes over him, it's really a fascinating character, man.
Oh, it's the descent is great. Well, since Josh took my favorite part and Tom took my other favorite part, I guess I would have to. I mean, the Richard Speck scene, like you said, where he leans in, he just kind of goes with the flow, leans in, gets the reaction out of Richard Speck to get him to pay attention and listen. That part really caught me. Like I got really excited for him, and then kind of the backlash afterwards was awful. But I guess now that I gotta pivot all of a sudden, I would have to say that my favorite one is probably. I think there's this part with Holden and his girlfriend in the grocery store, and it's kind of the first time you see he's kind of getting full of himself as well. And he's talking about how that interview with the electrician went, and how he's like, and then I pulled the rock off, and he saw it, and he freaked out, and he's kind of bragging to her, and she's like, well, don't you think A, B, and C? And she's like, he gets mad at her for not really supporting him and kind of questioning. Where in the beginning of the show, when she would he loved questioning things, and they would get in these philosophical conversations. But now it's this: she questions him. he gets pissed and she says, well, what do you want me to do? Just say nothing and shut up and be a good girlfriend? And he's like, couldn't hurt to try. And that's the moment you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like he's totally lost himself because he's just dedicated to this stuff. And so I think that was really, and it's all shot from down below too.
In the shopping cart.
Yeah, and it's all shot from down below. So you really get this like menacing look at the two of them. And Fincher to me is a master of showing you exactly what you should. And my example of this is in the first episode when you go to her apartment for the first time. You don't get a wide or a pan. You get this shot from the corner of the ceiling where you can see like laundry on the floor, a few rugs. And Fincher said in an interview, he's like, if you want to know about someone, look at their floors. And so then there you go. So, yeah. I guess off my pivot, that's my favorite scene.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That fucking kid doing like in the thing with the electrical wire working guy when he, does do that. In the thing with Spec when he like leans in and starts saying the shit, knowing that that's going to get the reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing him use the things he's learned and just going out on the limb, even though he's going to be judged and him almost becoming sick because of it. It's really fascinating.
Well, there's that whole, he in the moment, he doesn't think it's a bad thing. And there's that scene between him and Tench on the plane where he's like, you probably want to redact that. And he's like, why? I'm not ashamed of anything I said. And then he finally gets back and he's like, probably take that out. But it's just that like where I guess he's kind of like in his mind, he's like, well, if I got the results, what's the matter of the means? Like,
by the way, the best example of that, and it's more subtle than these ones, although it's bigger than these ones.
Mm-hmm.
When he brings the fucking shoes, he gets like size 12 shoes, and he brings them, and he's almost like embarrassed about like, here's the shoes. It's almost like throwing something to a pig, like go ahead, eat it.
Well, the beautiful parallel that I noticed the second time I watched through it is he takes his jacket off the shoes, and the killer sees it, and then 3 episodes later, when he reveals the rock, he pulls the jacket off the rock the exact same way.
Oh, wow. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. And so he's just like, I'm going to use that move. Again, here we go.
By the way, the filmmakers, when what's his name with the shoes, goes through the whole scene, and at the end, he's very matter of fact, like, hang on a second.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, fuck.
I got to do this thing real quick.
Oh, man,
and you find yourself so disgusted, but at the same time, it's almost less disgusting. He's like, oh, okay. He's going to go do what we knew he was going to do anyway.
Yep.
But he's going to do it right there in the room. That's fucking weird.
Yep. It got me.
It's so fucking weird because you're really disgusted, but at the same time, it's almost like lightened, but then it's even worse. Like,
That's the dark comedy bit of it. It's just like, it's fucked up, but you can't help but laugh because it's so
like, at least
ridiculous.
he turned his back.
Yeah, he turned his back and he said, excuse me.
That was another fascinating
But that is the
scene.
brilliance.
Yeah,
that is the brilliance, right? Like,
yeah, that's the hypothetical conversation that they were having before that part.
Yeah.
that was also fascinating to listen through.
It's a good show.
and all the guys are different. Like that guy, like, no, I didn't do a thing. Like, we saw you.
Oh, they show the pictures and everything, and they still have to play to that, like, well, what do you think the killer felt at that time? And it's
But even that, it's all brilliant, man. It's all very brilliant.
Oh, man.
I can't wait for season 2. I cannot wait.
I was reading something. Oh, see, are we going to talk about this?
No, yeah, when Tom gets back.
When Tom gets back.
When he gets back from his
See,
review.
like a show like Narcos, I really enjoyed Narcos
Oh my
the
gosh,
first season. But then it came back this and I was like, wait a fucking second, we're gonna keep going? Like, now what? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I watched Narcos, and then it was a great season 1, and season 2 is okay. I mean, it's fine.
Where are we on that one? Is it season 3 now? Because I mean, honestly, I didn't watch season 2 because I was like, wait, that's a lot.
Yeah, I believe. It was season 2, and then season 3 will be coming soon, I guess.
By the way, sidebar, there's a show that was really good. Like, I really enjoyed season 1. It was well done. But if you look at that show as an example and compare it, the way it's shot, I don't know if it's a budget thing, just a taste thing, the way it's shot, the way it's acted, and the acting is perfectly great. Somehow pales compared to this show's like cinematic. It's shot a certain way. It's acted the true, like a higher level of not just the acting, but what's chosen to be shown, how it's shown.
Yeah.
Like the other one looks more like a kind of a network show that's much better than a network show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a budget thing or what the hell it is, but
Yeah, maybe.
Partially,
It's, Yeah.
Hiring a better DP.
Well, I mean, it's both Netflix, yeah.
And I mean, well, you got Fincher. Fincher's particular.
Yeah, Fincher
He's known
is-
for doing like
yeah.
20 takes of something, and I mean that's probably why he keeps using Holt. I mean, Holt's in a lot of Fincher stuff, and I think he just gets his style. You know, those little movements being super rehearsed, all that kind of stuff.
He didn't write it for him, but he called him, I think. I don't want to talk out of school meeting, I'm not sure, but I think he like literally just kind of, it was his. It wasn't, you know, sure you had to meet with him. But.
Oh, he deserves it, man. Like I said, we're all huge fan of his here. So when you said you knew him, I freaked out in my corner over here.
But it's a funny thing because even as a guy in real life, he's like this, kind of like a brawny, sweet guy. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't think he's a really good guy, but he's also like a guy's guy, like in a bar, like if you get up in his face, he just might knock you out. Like, not for no reason. If you got it coming, he'll let you know. You know, he's a guy's guy, man. He's pretty.
I like that. A guy's guy.
Favorite character / killer?
Oh yeah, let's do favorite character.
Did we want to do qualms or after that?
Are there qualms?
Do we have qualms? I'll be honest, I don't.
I have a couple.
Oh, there we
you have
go.
a qualm.
Cool. So let's get into qualmy qualms. Reno, you want to lead us off with this?
Well, sure. I mean, I keep on harping about Holt because he's a buddy, and I really do love his work. And we're talking about qualms. What's that?
Like, but I hate him.
No. The thing is, his character, and he plays it to a T, but his character, to me, was not at all one-dimensional. It was very multifaceted, and he played it well. But I wish they'd give him a little more away from the whole, like, don't do that. That's going to get you in trouble. And they started it. They have this thing with his wife, with the kid, and then at the end he's kind of warming up, but then he kind of goes sideways on him. I just, I want to see what happens next season. It's not so much a qualm as much as it is like
a hope.
Yeah, like he was playing his role, but I wanted his role to be just a little, more on the other side of the balance of like him being just, that moral compass of we can't do that.
I think I agree with you on that. My wife had talked about that because when they are working together, like when he does give in and they do that interrogation with the electrician and he's telling the cops like let Ford do his thing, he's really good at it. It feels really good to have that partnership, to have him in on it and having his back and like being a part of it and being excited.
One of my favorite scenes is when he says to the kid about, if I can get some, whatever it was, Pepsi or Orange Crush, he says, listen, fuckhead. And he just like basically said, it's not how it's going to go.
It's a perfect delivery.
Fuck yourself. And it backfires. But I love that he, that's what I mean. Like his true character comes out like, look, not just like, I don't like this talking to bad guys. It's like, no, listen, fuckface. I'm going to
like the tough
the piece
cop.
of shit I think you are, which I like that.
I think that might be mine too, actually.
more for him to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did. It's just that I wish they'd give him a little more of that in the writing, and I think they are, and they're going to. So,
well, they're going to explore the whole thing with his kid next season too, I'm sure, and all that.
Yeah, they've kind of like it was the putting the toe in the water kind of. We're developing the characters. We're getting to see what makes them tick, kind of scraping away their shells a little bit more. And so now in season 2, I think we will get a little bit of an exploration.
I just remembered another favorite part of mine after the car accident. When they're in so someone sideswipes them. And Bill Tench is like, I didn't see it coming. I can't protect you. We talked to serial killers all day and all I did was roll through a stop sign and that could have been the end of it all. Like that scene was really great. Like more of that. I want more of that.
By the way, to me, what I love most about that scene is it all happens. He gets out because you go, what the fuck?
Yeah, he gets out and just starts yelling at him and flashes his badge immediately.
That's my favorite because it's basically an imperfect person. It was kind of your fault.
Yeah.
You get in the guy's face like.
Call me qualms.
The only one that I can think of, and it's very minor, because the actress that played his girlfriend.
Yeah,
I don't have her name in front of me, but
her name was Hannah Gross.
Hannah Gross. She was great. I liked her.
She's anything but gross.
She's anything but gross, exactly. But there was a couple, and I've seen this. It got a little social networky in some of the dialogue, and that it didn't
brought you out of it a little bit.
A little bit, like it was a little too
like their first club scene together.
Yeah, it was a little too like.
They're talking
like
over each other.
You're talking a little too fancy.
Yeah.
Like
it's a little too Gilmore Girls.
Exactly. It wasn't super perfect description.
And scene.
But it was. I was like, okay, I don't believe that you would use that choice of words every time.
Or like when she said, "I'm not wearing hockey pads."
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
You're not sorry at all.
That was my only thing, and it was just really very minor because they have very relatively few scenes together in the same kind of space or whatever. But
that's what I was going to bring up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
Just because I'm an audio engineer. There is a scene in the club when they're talking, and what I fucking loved what they did is what they didn't do. They didn't bring down the sound
of
the music.
They did that a lot.
Yeah, it was real. And that's what I liked about it. Because when you're mixing like a film or a show or like I do promo, when you're mixing that stuff, it's always like, oh, we need to hear the dialogue. And it was real because they're having to shout over it.
There's some scenes in some diners where there's really loud clanging of dishes and dishware.
It was real. And
they
that's
have
what I loved
subtitles
about
in
it.
some parts of it.
Yeah.
Specifically in that beginning part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, I just totally, when you guys mentioned the club, I was like,
I mean, that's the opposite of a qualm, but yeah.
I remember pausing it going, oh yeah. Like it was just, I dig shit like that.
I'm with you on that one. And by the way, one more quasi-qualm, meaning it's not a qualm, it's actually a good thing, but it puzzles me. The woman, the psychologist who works with them, what's with the cat?
Wendy.
Oh,
yeah.
cat. Okay, so
Tom and I have some theories.
Well, I mean, it's not a theory. I know what happens.
Oh.
But I mean, the theories are way better than actually what happens.
I told you my theory, right?
What's your theory?
So the theory that I had come up with before, I remember now you told me exactly what happened. I had come up with in my own head is that the same episode that we're seeing her feed the cat, and eventually what happens is the cat doesn't come get the food and the ants are devouring the food and all that kind of stuff, is the same episode where, right, she develops this relationship with the cat the same way Holden develops these relationships with like Ed Kemper and Brutos and stuff like that. And it's this really kind of intimate thing like she has with feeding this cat. And suddenly
I give you the social interaction, which is the cat food.
Right.
And
or like I give you the shoes.
You are the cat,
Right.
which is a predator.
But now it gets out because Holden accidentally talks to someone about it, and suddenly the ants are all over it. So if you think about the food as being their scientific work, the ants are the news reporters and everyone's getting a hold of it. And suddenly the cat's gone, and now Edmund Kemper, I mean, is trying to kind of turn the tables again as well. So that's how I saw it.
I think it was also playing into the eventuality of kind of what they were doing. And like at some point,
it's going to get nasty.
People are going to find out about it. It's going to get out.
Yep.
And that's kind of like, yeah, the cat's getting the exclusive tuna for now. Eventually there's going to be other animals, things like that. And it's going to be swarming.
So
It's
then-
a sexual thing, and I don't know why.
That's because it's the show, man.
With the wine right there, waiting for a second, then all of a sudden she
Weird, and then-
leaves and turn off the light.
She's alone. She's lonely.
Yeah.
And there's a cat, and it licks up the thing. Weird.
It's conditioning. Well, it's like the same episode that
Can we
think-
redact my comments?
It's the same conditioning.
Increase
Like the
the
show
volume, increase the
conditions you
volume.
to think perverse, because we're in this episode where a guy is obsessed with feet and shoes is the same episode they're accusing a teacher of being obsessed with feet. So like even if maybe he didn't do
And then
anything,
Holden can't get it up because he sees.
we're conditioned to think that he did because of the context of the episode.
Yeah.
But Tom, tell us exactly what happens with the cat.
So I'll just say this right now. This show I haven't done like as much research on a show ever since I watched this one. Like where I'm like, what? I literally look at Mindhunter season finale, Mindhunter episode this, Mindhunter, like what do these things mean? Because, you know, when you first time you watch it, you get the narrative. And the second time, you can actually start dissecting and analyzing the things I love, which are anal eyeballs.
Yeah.
But the actress that portrays that character, she went up and asked David Fincher, like, what is this? Like, and she came up, she had her own theory, and hers was very similar, was that it was purely symbolic. It was purely in the sense of like, you know, this, you know, the murderers are the predators, and the predator is a cat.
Kind of like
And
what
then-
I was.
Yeah, and
digging
she
at.
is the psychologist, and the tuna is social interaction or knowledge or whatever, and there's a shared mutual respect, and then it somehow, some way was going to get nasty and bastardized and things like that.
Yeah.
And in that episode, or later on, we kind of find out like Holden is at a school and he's talking about deviant behavior. And he says that there's telltales of children growing up and having deviant behavior, like first torturing little animals, then moving on to bigger things and stuff like that. And that's literally the only tie-in clue to this, where she has been feeding a cat, and then out of nowhere, the cat's gone. And so what David Fincher says, like, oh, it's nothing like what you think. It's not all that symbolic stuff. It's literally that now that she's part of this investigation team, knowing that children, you know, grow this deviant behavior at
By
a young
hurting
age,
animals. Yeah.
by hurting animals, it's kind of connected that implicitly that
In her building.
yeah, in her building, that there's a kid who killed that cat, and so there is a murderer growing in that building, and that's literally what it is.
Okay.
And to me, it was funny because like Corey and I were talking about this and we were theorizing. It sounds really cool. It sounds very like thought out. And then Fincher was like, "Nope, there's just a murderer.
There's just a
There's
kid
a
murderer."
kid becoming a murderer in this building."
Yeah,
And then
totally.
but then
I think in season 2 the cat's a murderer. Myself.
They interview a
That's just
cat.
me.
We've
I
got
don't
some
know
great
why.
mouse detective.
He pulls his
I don't
jacket
know
off the
why.
tuna like he did the shoes.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a perfect segue into season 2. The
There
cat
it is.
murderer, right? No.
But I think just analyzing that scene, kind of, once you have those pieces together and you watch it, and you're like, oh, there's a murder, there's a kid becoming a murderer in that building. that freaks you out that this, woman who's actually investigating this stuff and getting a science to deviant perversion and, all these criminal psychology drops the food and just explodes out and ants crawl everywhere. It gives you this like tingling feeling of like, oh, there's something I cannot control. There's a nastiness in the world that I cannot control that's
and wait
living.
A minute, even if it's a red herring, it is an intriguing little like sidebar thing. But sorry to interrupt you, but not one of us mentioned the creepy Unabomber guy in every episode.
Oh yeah.
The ADT guy.
So there's a lot of talks doing on forums and such that he is what's known as the BTK killer.
Oh, that guy, right? Blind torture kill.
Yeah.
Blind torture kill. Yeah. But by the way, that guy's a creepy shit actor too. He's awesome.
Oh
Just
man,
like, lady
nailed
the
it.
back door, like.
And so I was so intrigued by all of that, and I can't wait for.
If there was a qualm to have, I mean, and this is a dumb one because I want to feed the little child who wants the lollipop now, and I'm just like, I wanted him to do something. I wanted to see him.
Well, he started
become
to
something.
right. He broke into a house and then couldn't do it.
Yeah,
cleaned the dish and left.
Yeah,
actually, I want to tell that story because I know what that is.
Okay.
So what actually happened?
Oh, that's a real thing?
That's a real thing. So he went
shit.
there, and he went to that house, and he was totally ready to kill this person.
Yeah.
But that night, they did something that they don't usually do. They did something spontaneous because he's a security person. He was able to tell people's.
Yeah.
He knew when they were going to be home and all that kind of stuff.
That person didn't come
She
home.
didn't show up when she usually did, and he got pissed. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it didn't come under his schedule. He was actually, I mean, serial killers tend to be meticulous, and so it didn't happen as he planned it, and so he left. And later on, what I read was he sent her a poem that was like, "Why didn't you show up?" or something like that. It was just all sorts of crazy, creepy shit. But yeah, that it wasn't
just
him
freaked
like
me
being
the
like
fuck
he
out,
couldn't
dude.
do it. It was that bullshit.
So that little fit he had was like
I'm
him
writing you a
being
poem
angry.
right now. Don't worry, it's a happy poem.
Aren't they all?
I mean, that's a pretty good. I'm hoping that season 2 is going to be about BTK.
Yeah. Well, the confusing part is he wasn't caught till 2005.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, without super spoilers and stuff like that, we're left with the entire team at disarray.
Yeah.
And then the BTK guy is now.
Actually, isn't BTK the guy who went on like years? He'd go dormant, and then he came back, and he finally almost turned
Yeah.
himself in because he was tired of not getting caught.
Mhm.
Yeah. He was like one of the, like, I was reading, he was a stand-up guy. Like, he was a leader in his church. He was.
Aren't they always, though?
Yeah.
It's
I
never
know.
like, I knew it.
Yep.
That's the guy that you think you knew it. He's just the guy who's
So
putting
he's the
salt
quiet
on your
guy.
sidewalks.
Yeah. They
Well,
call me
that's,
Sweet Baby
that's
Josh.
what Ed Kemper says, right? He goes, you never want to ask too much. You never want to seem interested because that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah. Favorite character?
Holden.
Tench, for
Tench?
sure.
Favorite character?
I think
cat.
Holden.
The cat. Good one. Good.
I want Holden.
His head got blown off in episode 1.
Yeah, the hostage guy.
He was good too, by the way. That guy was good.
He was great.
Yeah, it was great.
All the side guest people.
The guest cop was really good in the 2
Yeah,
episodes.
he was good.
I like the principal.
Yeah.
I thought he was good.
I think Ed Kemper.
Nobody was
probably-
bad. Nobody
No.
except for that one guy's wife who was a little over the top. Even she was good.
Yeah.
She redeemed herself.
Cool, man.
I feel complete. Do we feel complete?
I feel complete. I think this
Yeah.
is awesome.
Complete me.
Reno, thank you for nerding out with us
Yeah.
on the Mindhunter,
Yeah.
man.
Did you have
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Yeah. Did you have anything that you want our audience to go to, like social media wise or
Anything you wanted
projects
to check
wise
out?
or
Any plug?
You know, I'm not really good at social media, so if you guys want to help me get better, I think I'm at Rino Romano VO for Instagram, but I got to get better about posting, but that is my little handle. So at
All
Rino
right.
Romano VO for voiceover.
Okay. Well, you at least have 4 new followers here.
Yep.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it, guys. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Awesome. Everybody at home, to follow the show, all of our information is at nerdonthepodcast.com. All of our social information, the social medias, as I like to call them. A big new thing that we're very excited about is our Patreon page. Been very active, already reaching our goals, which is awesome. Being able to
Yes.
get paid to do this show, which is fan-freaking-tastic. We love doing this
And
show.
thank you to anybody
Yeah.
who supports us there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel good.
We hope you had fun. We did.
We had a great time.
I know
Thank
I
you
had
so
fun.
much.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really
Thanks
course.
again to Rino for joining us. This was
seriously.
really, really cool.
Thank you
I got to
for
nerd
our
out quite a bit.
childhood.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the childhood. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Everybody at home, again, thank you for listening. As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.